Greetings, everyone. This is David Gambill, your podcast host for Be Your Own Boss. Uh, if you like the subscription or you like the content, please hit like. And we have, if you want to subscribe for the next podcast, please do so. And there's much more content coming. The guest today is Virginia Hume. She is from Wellness Advocate for doTERRA. And with that, I'll kind of go into what's your background, what's your history, how'd you get into being a wellness advocate, Virginia?
A wife, a grandmother. So we have 5 children. They're all grown. We have 21 grandchildren. So lots of family. But having a young family in the 70s, I found the needle, knife, and pill weren't the best thing. It was occasionally you need that help, but most of the time, if you understand correct principles of wellness, that you can do it yourself. And so I was on the journey to understand what that meant and how in the world to do it because I didn't want to live in the doctor's office nor pay out those big doctor bills.
Right.
So I started going to the health food stores and reading books and asking lots of questions in order to figure out how in the world do I keep my family healthy. Lived in many parts of the United States, and through the journey to figure out what do I do to help it, I had a rule. If I could solve it in 3 days, I took care of it. I didn't go through the doctor. If I couldn't solve it in 3 days, then I was in the doctor's office.
Good show.
Okay, teach me what's the next step here for this child. And I wrote, had a little health record on each child so that I would, the next time a problem came up, one child, when she got the flu, she could only have apple juice. She wouldn't have any, she wouldn't have any orange juice. That would cause more problems. And
Right.
learn only a little bit of this of the fruit when you're getting over. They needed minerals. And so I learned to make mineral soups. So it's just learning better about how to use food wisely as and make it from scratch.
Okay.
So that was part of the journey, but there were issues. And then my husband was in the Marine Corps and overseas. And my first 3 children came really quick and he was overseas, but I ended up with postpartum depression. Only in that time you couldn't talk about that. That was just some funny idea in a woman's head that didn't exist. And so with that, I got a hold of a company that I was able to have some natural vitamins, and I ran and I took them to help bring my body back to stable
Right.
after having kids really quick. But that kept me going to health food stores. How do I do this better? My children had allergies. What do I do with this? How do I, because if I went and got this prescription, they were lethargic, they couldn't function well. I thought, okay, we have got to do this differently. And so all these experience helped me, kept leading me to the next health food store or company with tools because this is before internet. And you found these things in a health food store and talking to other mothers. So it was constantly gathering the information, keeping my journal, and creating my library of books. So when I have this problem, what do? Let's go to the
Right.
book. I use this herb, or I use this is the food that I make, and that's how I did it, raising my 5 children.
Right.
And
Well,
they had to drink these interesting teas. Oh, mom, really? And I said,
right.
aha, you're drinking it. Don't give me a hard time.
Right. You talk about remedies. I mean, I remember growing up with, mom always said like chicken soup, right? If you have a cold, there would be certain things that they'd learned from previous family members or the previous generation of, how to deal with certain ailments, right? Either learning about uh, certain plants. I remember like aloe vera being very good for burns, things like that. So with that in mind, how are you capturing? You're saying a journal. So how are you capturing that? And then how's that? How's that something you could pass along to somebody else? Is it something you've like organized? Are you organizing that for your kids? How you've done that?
So for my children, so each child had a health file.
Right.
And so once they got married and became their had the children,
Right.
I said, "Here's your stuff. This is for you." They could come counsel with me, but then I stepped back because I'm that's not my stewardship. I need to be respectful for
Right.
them
Yep.
to sprout their wings and fly. And but they come to mom, "Hey, I'm dealing with this." I said, "Well, here's some ideas. You follow what the feelings of your heart, what you need to do."
Oh, yeah. Well, how about for do you have grandkids?
Oh yeah, that's but the mom said, "Well, let's talk about this." And I said, "Well, these are the things that I use. You might find something more useful." And but bring in other things that I'd learned. I said, "Well, you might consider doing this." Or
Right.
but but making it so they love their choices. They don't want to be told exactly what to do. How you work with the 2-year-old is not how you work with a 20-year-old plus. So
Different mindset.
I I had to learn, like, okay, just because they ask me doesn't mean I'm supposed to answer it. So I
Right.
answer with a question. So what are you doing about it? And if they want more
Exactly.
information, but first I didn't get that special book when they all got married. Do this, don't do that. Be really careful. Be respectful.
Right.
So made a few mistakes along the way. They were very gentle, kind, and patient for me to learn.
So, I mean, what triggered all that? What book did you read, or what influence, or what, was there any, was there a person, what triggered you to start doing that? Or was it just the fact you're alone and your husband was away? That kind of, what was the actual?
My mother died when I was 18 years old.
Okay.
So I didn't have her to go to. And I found I had aunts that I could talk to somewhat, but they were more medically minded. And
Right.
I saw how I had to do it differently. I had a couple aunts I would lean on when I was in my 20s and lived near them. So I say, "Well, what about blah, blah, and here's some things to think about, or this is what helped me." Okay. And then I found a couple of books, about doing things in a natural manner in in the health food store. But I have many, many, many books. Oh, over 30. Once I've accumulated over the years here and being in Lancaster County, I've been able to Sally Fallon's books, Nourishing Traditions. That has been extremely helpful. And what Rachel Weaver is an herbologist here locally, and then she's written 4 books
Okay.
about herbs and how they work together. Well, being a doTERRA wellness advocate, using those oils with the herbs with creating things is very helpful too. So if a child falls and bumps their head and you're, worried about the bump getting bigger and all that and concussion, frankincense is always what we do. We get the frankincense, stick it on the head, on the spot in the back of the head.
Right.
Okay, let's just have you sitting here, be quiet a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
and, and you can have a cold drink of water if you'd like. And I just want you to be in and make sure all the eyes are looking right and, all those signs are just appropriate and just give them some rest time. So it was just learning and then applying, and whichever daughter was having those young children and who were open, then I would share things with them and say, "Okay, are you, oh yes, mom, could you please?" And then I would send them the book and I would send them some essential oils. I said, "Okay, this is what I would suggest you do to help you with blah, blah, blah." "Thanks, mom. That's great." So it's when I was asked, I definitely helped them out with that. And every family's a little different and what
Yeah.
in it. And the
Do you think it's
stress,
also location too? You think just the
yeah.
surroundings? Because I know I've had issues with allergies, and always they always say about you start eating a tablespoon of the local honey
Yep,
because
absolutely.
it
That's
has a
right.
lot of those. Um, I guess they call it pollinations in the area that you need to get accustomed to.
Yep. So I would buy the local honeys wherever we lived, and
Yeah.
I would use it in my cooking. So that would help because the allergies was
Oh,
such a
yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
So, and then I learned elderberry was excellent.
Right.
So this was before the essential oils, but it was that. It wasn't until I had grandchildren that I had any knowledge or learning about essential oils, really.
Right. Right. I mean, could you, I mean, have you thought about writing a book? Have you thought about putting all that information, or do you think there's enough information for people to
There's a lot of
understand where to go
information
to?
out. Writing isn't my greatest skill.
Right.
um, I do it, but a blessings to AI to help with all the spelling and all the grammar and those just titles loose ends.
Yeah,
But but I lead people to finding things so that I find that people have to have a why to go and check something out. They need skin in the game, and then they'll
that's
go do
true.
something about it. And if they
Yeah,
don't have skin in the game, it's not a gift. It's feels they feel may feel like a weight to them.
right.
So when you ask, I'm more than happy. So
Right.
the
So,
main
I mean,
reason.
let's go back to the question about the 3 days. Have how often have you used that duration? If it goes past
Oh,
3 days, you go to the
well, okay. I
doctor.
can tell a story about one of my daughters. Somehow she got an infection in her thumb.
Okay.
And so she was grade school age at this point. And so I got a piece of garlic and I cut it in half and I put it on and wrapped it around it to help pull the infection out. Well, that helped, but it did not completely solve the issue. So we called it her Chernobyl thumb is what we did because it was just really all kinds of yuck coming out.
Mm.
And I had her soak it, but it just wasn't all coming. So I went to the doctor and he said, "Oh, she needs an antibiotic. This is a big deal." So therefore, she was on the antibiotic, and then I made sure she then had yogurt afterwards to recolonize because the antibiotic kills the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, it doesn't distinguish. Mm-mm,
No, it doesn't. So
mm-mm.
I knew she had to be recolonized for a healthy gut biome. And so, if you do need to do this, then this is what you do afterwards.
Good.
So,
Uh, I mean, that's a good rule of thumb. I mean, if it just doesn't heal up, or they're still running a fever,
oh yeah,
or it's like, yeah, that's time to call in the
the
medical
big
team.
guns. So if the fever spiked and wouldn't come down,
Right.
within 24 hours, I was in the doctor's office with them. But I just, I learned the boundaries from the things I read of what I could do. And as long as it stayed within those boundaries, then that was fine. But if it
Well,
went beyond, I'm thankful. I'm grateful for all the good doctors who have the skills and they can help with the things that need to be done. But there's so many things. Just for example, making sure your children get enough sleep is a huge issue for their growth and development, for their brain as well as their body to reboot for the next day. If they don't get enough sleep, they are cranky bears.
oh no, tell me about it. Got a 13-year-old, so we're well aware if she's not getting enough rest, she gets cranky. What's the age ranges of your kids? I mean, they're probably all adults, correct?
They're all adults, yes. The oldest is 51, and the youngest is 43.
Oh wow, that's a 20-year range. So you had
No,
you
no,
had
no,
basically 5 kids for 20 years, right?
no, that you misunderstood. 51 and 43, there's
Oh,
8 years
no,
difference.
okay. I heard. So, excuse me. Yeah, I heard something different. Sorry. Um, well, well, then it's like 8 years. So you had basically, well, probably, well, at least 20 years, 8 years apart or so. I mean, did you see any differences between the kids as far as the age groups, and or did you see any?
When Alexander, our oldest, was in high school as a senior, our youngest was in 6th grade. Okay. And I saw changes in them. I could see, I could identify problems quicker than what to start with.
Mm,
And so I had to learn what am I looking for. So the more I read and gained knowledge, then I was able to make better choices quicker, so I wouldn't end up with a big problem.
right. Oh,
So
so you just the age difference of having history on the first child helped you on the youngest,
oh,
basically.
absolutely, absolutely. right.
So could there be something that you can possibly provide training to young um, mothers that, need to be on the lookout for certain, I mean, situations are interesting because each child is different. But is there warning signs that you could possibly put together or
Yes, there
provide?
are warning signs, but understanding the development of each age group is as you learn as a parent, you have responsibility to gain knowledge so you make good choices. And so understanding your genetics of your family
Mhm.
and how things work. So my children were very long drinks of water. My boys, they didn't really fill out. My oldest didn't fill out till he was 35. It was just
Oh,
genetics, and that's partly because of how I fed them too, making sure it was whole food, eating it from scratch. Occasionally they always wanted their pizza, but it was better if I made the pizza.
correct.
So I made bread, and then Monday I would roll it out, and then the last, instead of having a loaf, it was the dough for the pizza. So it's a lifestyle and habits, and figuring out how you go about making sure there's proper nutrition, there's proper sleep in this proper sleep environment. You make sure they have the opportunity to constantly are learning every day, and what the needs are of a preschooler are very different than the high school needs, obviously. That they have that physical activity to stretch and grow and strengthen their bodies. They need to have chores and things of that nature to develop character. So they learn how to do hard things, and they are successful in solving problems and talking them out and being civil, just being
Right.
kind, nice, polite. And
Right.
if you're having a hard time, say so. Don't expect us to read your mind. Um,
Yeah,
and
I've had that.
I used the timeout chairs, and that there was a hard one and there was a soft one. The soft one, I said, I'm just having a hard time. Would you like a time to regroup to be able to have? And if you were disappointed, beating and just pushing the end, I said, oh, you're on the hard chair and the timer's on, and when it goes off, we're gonna have a chat, and then you're my helper for the rest of the day. So,
Wow. So challenges, and then that changes over time as well. The
oh
mental,
yeah,
the
absolutely.
character. I mean, I've seen that with our daughter. I see that changing, but there's that still a little bit streak of rebellion. I guess you could call it. Of
They want to grow, but they don't want to grow. They want the
yeah,
opportunity to be older, but all the responsibility and how do I handle it?
yes. That she switches back between young adult and I'm still a kid, Dad. And like, well, wait a minute. And says, oh, well, I'm in that mode or mood, right? She uses the mood word. Or I just feel that way.
Teaching responsibilities. And you want this opportunity, it's a broomstick. You have the responsibility end and the opportunity end.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think it's also too, not only that, it's just for them to recognize it,
Oh yes.
of what mood they're in, and that they need, it's kind of like self discipline is a good word, and we need to train them to be self disciplined, just like we grew up. I grew up, with the heavy hand, but at least understanding maybe later on in life, maybe I didn't realize that. Like, wait a minute, I have my own behavior that I have to take care of, and it doesn't. It happened in the 20s. It did not happen when I was a teenager.
Okay,
Um,
so let's understand a couple of principles here. Number one, men's brains aren't fully developed till they're 25 years old.
yeah,
It's just those are the science to it. Women's go sooner, but during those teenage years, they're walking with faith and courage, and instead being willing to be obedient even when you don't understand. And being a Christian, I know that prayer and the Lord's my helper to be able to help my children to be their best selves. And having my sweetheart right there to say, okay, this is what we need to do. And we would create opportunities where you do these things and you have this special thing to do with dad because he knew how to play really well. And so they all want to do this special thing with that. So
Oh
we
yeah.
have the golden carrots out there to do that. But when the child has the proper nutrition and proper rest and exercise, and they learn how to manage their emotions, that's a skill too. They learn these things, they can make better choices. They feel like
Exactly.
they're in charge of themselves. And they all want, everybody wants to make choices, but we have to give them a little, what you give the 2-year-old to choose which toy to, what do you play with, or is different than how you work with your teenagers.
Right. I
It's,
mean, that's good. I mean, that's the training that I think we want to touch on as far as the being an advocate. So how are you reaching out to folks to kind of get them into that mindset of understanding all what you just said and in a thoughtful, progressive, right? Too many times, I've heard the term. You probably heard it too. Microwave generation, where everything they want just something just like instantaneous. And how do you deal with that?
so it starts when they're very small. And he said, okay, do you, and there's been a study about this too, in terms of when they learn, they do have to wait before they get the treat.
Right?
That if they, that helps, but to recognize our children wanted cars when they were 16 years old. We didn't have the finances to own any more than one car.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
so, when you, and they said, but I want to buy a car. And I said, when I see there's money in the bank to pay for your college education and going on mission with the church, all that there, we'll talk about a car.
The
Until then,
car.
forget it. Your
Exactly.
your job is to develop talents and skills so that you're prepared for the next season of life. But I want to have fun. We're not talking about that. We're talking about what it takes to do these things. And this is the time for you developing yourself. So it's, and it, depending on the traditions you grew up with, is what you tend to teach your own children. The
Right.
question is, are these traditions are they still useful now? Are we using things that are principles that'll last forever, or was this just a convenient thing to use at the time
Mm,
20 years ago?
right. Right.
So, and it takes wisdom.
Yeah.
And it's so today, helping people to want to learn more, it's like, okay, so I have a web page, and I'm going, if you want to learn, I'm happy to teach. But it's again, it's getting people to want to see there are answers. There's people that want to help, and to do it step by step, not just whoo, throw you in the
Right.
ocean. Oh, you can do it all. No.
Yeah, it takes a community. It can be, I've read things about, what was it? A person's not an island. It takes a community type of thing. So, I'll be putting the website for you. But what about other outreaches to your local community? I mean, I'm assuming you go through your church
Oh, yes.
to see if there's any help that is needed. But outside of that, what other directions, what other places that people can go to locally, right? If they're away from where you're at, um, to be able to help themselves.
So, okay, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they have a platform, and they have self-reliance classes online. You can just go in, no cost, and you can go through the class to help you understand if it's emotional resilience, or
Right.
is it, starting your business, or what finances. It's all kinds of things, and every community has different things, and other churches have different programs to help people to learn also. It's it's a process. It's a and but you're we are blessed to be in an age where there is so much information. You
Yeah.
want to make sure you have the ones that sit well with your heart, that help you with your journey.
Well, yeah, well, the church is one of the aspects. It's also, I mean, I've heard the term. I mean, I've heard that church attendance is down. And where actually, you mentioned it, where is actually people going to get that information? I mean, the web, AI, whatever, is there specific areas? I mean, you was even mentioned about your local library. I mean, how many folks have gone to a local library, even know that there's a library out there? Things like that, just to get information if they want to search for the truth rather than somebody's truth that you don't know where it's coming from, type of thing. Um,
It's, this is a little different. We've lived in many places, and you have become aware of what is locally and what you're comfortable. As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there's many congregations all over the United States that
right,
one can come. It doesn't cost money to go to learn at all. But it's totally up to the individual. And there's many Christian organizations, and just depending on where you live, that helps people to move to the next step.
got it,
Um, and there are organizations where I live that helping people to learn English if that's what their need is. So it just, and every locality is different with that. But
right,
when it comes to learning about doTERRA and the essential oils and how to incorporate that with your health, both emotionally and physically, that's what I help people see how to put those things together.
got it. Now, I kind of want to wrap this up. So, just final words, final thoughts, what you want to end the note on for anybody who's listening.
So I want to help the next generation so that they learn what these basic health principles are that you can incorporate in these health habits so that by having a healthy physical body and mind, then you're able to create your wealth and do the mission in life you have to bless the lives of others around you, provide for your families.
Sounds good. Thanks, Virginia. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a great
All
day.
right. You too. All right. Thanks for everybody for attending. Stay tuned for possible next week's guest. And thanks and enjoy the rest of your day.